We usually talk about the welfare work in our day-to-day life, and whenever there is discussion about the welfare work, the discussion is automatically dominated by resources that will come for that any activity or the welfare work that we want to do. And in those list of resources, then at the top of the list comes the financial resources, or in very layman's language we talk about money, where money is going to come from. And this is the point where at times people quit their dreams or goals. Today I'll be talking about the money thing while I was interacting with money, while I was chasing my dreams and my goals. And I discovered that money is not the issue. I start with a short story of my life, and then we'll continue the rest of the discussion. When I started understanding objects around me, I found myself as a refugee in Pakistan. We were an average income family living in Pakistan with my 5 brothers and sisters. And my father was an ambitious man, and as such he dreamed that everyone at home, all 5 get quality higher education. So rather than sending us to government schools, which is free, or the refugee schools, he preferred to send us to private schools where you pay fees, but at the same time you get modern English medium education there. And the life was rolling gradually and slowly until in 1996 my father passed away. That was probably the moment when dreams were shattered, and we were just lost. We had lost our ways, and the world had almost come to an end for every one of us. But fortunately my mother was a strong lady. She didn't quit, and right at that moment she said, we'll sleep hungry, but we'll chase the dream. And this is where the new journey actually started. So by that time, my elder brother, he was 16 years old, he was studying in class 9, so he had to leave his school so that he can support the family financially. And with that, the rest of the 4 managed to go to school, but my elder brother had to quit his school, and he started private education, which means you study at home all the year, and at the end of the year you go and appear for exams. So this was then the new setup at family and at home. So both my mother and my brother started managing the expenditures and savings at home in a way that would ensure that everybody gets to school. This was continuing until I was in class 5, and this was the moment when we could not afford the private school fees. So they decided to send me to government school because it was not possible for them to manage the fees. So I started going to the government schools and continued in this new format of education. But at the same time, during those periods, there was great trend of English language, and it was considered that this can guarantee employability and academic success. So when I was in class 10, my family wanted to send me to an English language institute, but the problem was that where will the fee come from? Because the existing expenditures and saving setup was not allowing that. So they decided that I work after school, and my younger brother joins me and supports me in this journey. So this is Khyber Bazaar, Peshawar. This is actually the journey started. I started a roadside business here, where me and my younger brother, who's sitting in the audience today, we started our journey over here, and we used to sell towels, pen, plastic bags and all that stuff. So while I'm away to the institute, at that particular moment my brother sits, and then I come back from institute and continue it. So this business was going on along with our education, and the journey was on until when I was in class 10, we had to pack up the roadside business, because by that time I had started teaching in the same institute where I studied, and by that time I was getting enough amount of salary, and the salary was even enough to support my college if I wanted to go to a private college. So from class 10 then I supported my teaching, supported my private school education, and that continued up to my bachelor's, because by that time my elder brother had already got a job in Afghanistan and I didn't have to even teach for survival. English language basically and the teaching, it paid off in a very interesting way, because this skill equipped me with communication skills and confidence. So because of that, I regularly started appearing in events that we had in college and debate competition and hosting different kind of events. So with that, I had somewhat regular association with these events. And when I was doing my MBA from Institute of Management Sciences, which is one of the leading universities in Pakistan. So while I was doing my MBA, I said, okay, I'm regularly with these events, why don't I give it a proper platform? So I came up with I Am Trendsetter, and basically from that platform we started organizing different fashion shows and modeling events. So a teacher with a marker in hand turned to an event management. I started hosting different events with a mic in my hand and doing the graph work, the homework, and then looking out for that. And this was very interesting because at that period of time, as a young, you want nothing more than being at the top, looking handsome on the stage, appearing, and then there are people, the events were coming in, and then you're interviewed on the different television channels. So events were getting larger. It was never a problem to organize an event because we went to university, we said we need money. If there was no money, we were easily able to raise 5 to 10 sponsorships. The events were growing bigger and we were becoming popular, and life was very good for us. But at the same time, the more bigger events we tried to organize, we started to realize that after every event there is like, that it didn't give us some satisfaction, some peace of mind that, yeah, this is something like, it was kind of bubble, you do it and then it bursts. So that satisfaction was there. So we started decreasing our focus on the event management, on the entertainment side. But then energy was there, what to do with that. So we started working around the youth. So what we started from there onward, we started putting our energy and collaborating and partnering with other youth organizations. We started putting our energy in organizing activities for youth, like conferences, like debates, like national level events where youth can come along on a single platform and they can just start contributing towards the national issues, what actually is going on. They start understanding their role as a leader, and then it took a form of the parliamentary debate. This is basically Islamabad, where students from around 30 to 40 universities were present to discuss the national issues, including education, finance, and others, and we started streamlining them into that. And from there onwards, during those period of time, operation was started in the tribal areas of Pakistan. So a lot of people were displaced from these tribal areas. So those displaced families were living in different camps and refugee camps. So what we thought as a student was that, okay, what can we do now? Like donors and funding, those things were beyond our access, but what we have. So all we had was students at the university, like it was around 3,000 students that we had at the university. So we have them, how to now do things for these people. So we started working around them, we started teaming up for that, and what we would do, collect money, collect cash from the people, go and reach them. If money is not there, we would go and ask them to contribute any items that is useless at their homes or any other stuff which they don't want to use. So collecting all those stuff and then visiting these 500 to 600 family. At times when we had nothing to do, we would go and photograph these people and reflect their ideas so that we can later on show it to people that this is the life people are living, what can you contribute. So these activities were going on within the camps, and busy with all those activities along with our regular education classes that we had. So in 2009, then I got Leader of the Future Award in a national conference in Islamabad, Pakistan. Basically, this was the moment when I actually realized that I'm out of the dark tunnel that I had been traveling in, and I'm finally the light that I was chasing throughout my life, and I was finally out of that. And at that particular moment, when I looked back and to my life, to the tough times that and to the journey that I had traveled, I got two important lessons from that. The first one was that it's not about sufficient resources, it's about available resources while we are chasing our goals. All my life, till that particular point of time, I never had sufficient resources. I don't even know what sufficient resources called. All I had was available resources and how to make use of those available resources to do what I wanted to do. The second thing was that I was an ordinary student. I was not an exceptional or extraordinary guy with Einstein like skills and talent. I was an ordinary guy. I still remember when I was very shy and low in confidence. So when I would see any of my relatives coming over or any of the family friends, so it was not less than a horrible dream. I would say, oh my God, now I have to meet him. There was difficult things. I would try to hide somewhere so that I can avoid meeting him. But my family started working around me, giving me confidence, pushing me in different places, guiding me, keeping me focused on that. But with these two lessons that I learned from my life came a question: what about others? What about other people who don't have ideal family or guidance at home? What about those people who can't find out their ways? What about those people where their families are not very much committed to that? Or finally, what if I was born in a family where I didn't have guidance? So what? My life was gone? I had nothing to achieve. I had nothing to live for in this life. And that question then started disturbing me for quite some time, until I got the answer. After I looked around and I said, what if I was born in a family where I didn't have the guidance or anyone to guide me? So the answer was that all I need was someone who could guide me. And the answer was that if others or people are there, so you be their guide. I as an individual. Now I am in a position to help out people, so I be the one who is giving a hand to others. So with this, a very important chapter of my life was closed, and after completion of my MBA, I returned along with my family to Afghanistan, and there I started working in a ministry, and along with that, all my family was living together with me. So what I tried to do that to copy and paste the format of whatever activities I was doing in Pakistan with all that passion, but things were not working. I was very much shocked. I mean, what's going on here? Because everything is perfect. I'm having nice intentions. I'm thinking about welfare of the people. Why nobody is responding? But nobody was there to blame, because a generation of youth which has lived through violence, which grew up listening from media about the desperation, about corruption, about corrupt leaders, about explosions, about the bomb blasts in the country, how can they come up with so much positive thinking that they join me and start working around in those fields and doing that? This was not possible. So what to do at that time? So by that time, then I said, boy, you're in a different place now. You got to wake up. So I said, okay, what to do now? Now, in countries when you go through post-conflict, so the easy funding sources is UNDP and World Bank and others. You go and get funding. But who would fund me for guiding the youth and putting them into the right direction? They don't have, in fact, money for that. So I sat down and I said, okay, what are the available resources that I have? All I had was the teaching, training experience, UN management, and money. I don't have it. Okay, keep it aside. Now, using these things, what do the youth need at that particular moment of time? And still today, the youth in that country needs some confidence, some motivation. Somebody has to be there to make them understand that there is perfectly nothing wrong if you are born in Afghanistan, and there is someone to tell them that there is a positive aspects of life. So I said that if I have to produce a generation of youth which is really going to make a difference in life, so I have to work around their confidence building, their motivation, and their visioning, so that they can analyze themselves. And if they are personally developed, someone who can handle himself properly, definitely they are going to be a productive citizen in a society. And as that number increases, the society turns a more pleasant society. So I started working around that, and I said, then with that thought, I came with my initiative that was Gaheez, the Rising Afghanistan. Gaheez basically is a Pashto word which means dawn, and Rising Afghanistan basically explains what the word is actually. And with that, I started my personal development activities, but how to outreach the youth now, because we don't have networks there, we don't have strong communications, and not everybody is on Facebook and Twitter there. So to penetrate into the circles of youth, I started teaching after my office hours. So I started teaching in the evening time, so that I can make sure that I can penetrate into their circles. And And when I started those activities, and after some mobilization, basically if you think this was the response, so let me correct you, this was not the response. In my first training, only 2 people showed up. I had only 2 people sitting there, and I remember a third guy who was a bit late, and all these 3 people I had there. So I was just going like, oh. But I was not disappointed by that, because I said, if I'm actually and I'm really doing something good which is benefiting people, these 3 people are going to go out and they are going to come back with 3 more people. And the result was like that. Soon I had, all I needed was some students, a big room, a multimedia, and I never had to pay for any one of them. Like, go and ask your friend, can you bring your multimedia? You have, I know you have it. He comes up with his multimedia, and I go up with my laptop, and there are other people who are coming up with their notebooks, and the story begins there. What we talk about there in these training sessions, these training sessions, they're basically interactive. We talk, we bring them together on a single platform where we talk about confidence building. We talk about overcoming your fears, and we talk about visioning, to have a vision in your life, and we talk about how to analyze yourself, how to analyze the situation, how to overcome your greatest fears and your weaknesses. And this is how the thing started growing up. For example, this was one of our trainings on adaptability, and the material for this training came from a world seller book, Who Moved My Cheese? And the book talks all about interesting stuff about the adapting with changing circumstances. Other than that, like books like 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, which talks all about how to become a successful individual, channeling those things, putting that into very common language, and inserting that into these discussions. So this is how the activity started going on. This is one of our banners, which is at the beginning of the year, and this is probably the biggest training that we organize, and that is Living a Productive Year. It is organized every year in January, where we talk about how to live a year. When you look back, you say, wow, that was the year which made a difference in my life, and I had achievement. And in that we talk about all those ingredients that you need to have a productive year: setting your goals, identifying your weaknesses, building your self-confidence, and fighting your ways through your tough times. We didn't stop here, because I really wanted to see some positive stuff on media, but media was not showing it to me, and I could not fight with the media, because showing good news at times is not profitable business for the media. So I came up with Gaheez Rising Afghanistan Facebook page. This is basically a common room for Afghans, where they can sit together, where they can come together, and they talk about positive aspects. Here we don't talk about corrupt leaders, but we do talk about youth like Akram Azimi, who was given Young Leader Award in Australia for the year. We don't talk about economic crisis and aid issues that we have, but we do talk about the first car that was produced in Afghanistan. We don't talk about foreign affairs and tensions with foreigners, but we do talk about ladies like Nancy Dupree, who spent all her life traveling and exploring the cultural beauties and the geographic beauties of Afghanistan. And finally, we don't talk about news from the battlefield, but we talk about the sports field, where our teams are raising our flag and giving respect in a very positive way, and bringing us more honor in some way. So this is the story of Gaheez. And if you think I'm standing somewhere in Kabul here, probably not. This is the University of Sussex, where Gaheez is in the process of registration with University of Sussex societies. But even before it is registered, we launched our first event, and this was probably a memorable moment of my life, because the people from different countries of the world are standing in the honor of my flag, and basically the event was designed to show people the Afghanistan which media never reflects, which BBC, CNN never reflect, to show them cultural, traditional, and hospitality of Afghanistan, and all the beauties that the country has, which is not portrayed by the media. Now where do we stand? Basically, Gaheez is a step. It is in fact a small baby which is learning to crawl, and it has a long way to go. And at the same time, youth of Afghanistan has a long way to go. But if everybody in this country and everybody around us who are watching me here, and who will be and millions, or sorry, I mean, I don't know, because it's not a thing like that, and people who are watching us globally on YouTube, Every one of us has a Gaheez inside or around ourselves. We all can make a difference without worrying about money, especially when it comes to building youth and building nation. You don't need to worry about money. Just go ahead, contribute, and make use of the best use of the available resources that you have. And you are the change makers. Thank you very much.